Wang Zhaojun, known as one of the four beauties of ancient China, came from a humble village in the Western Han dynasty. She was a strikingly beautiful woman, but beauty alone did not define her. Zhaojun was intelligent, gifted in music, and carried herself with a quiet dignity that set her apart. From a young age, she practiced playing the pipa, a stringed instrument, filling her village with melodies that were both haunting and graceful, echoing the depth and complexity of her spirit. Her father, a modest scholar, instilled in her the importance of virtue, resilience, and compassion, qualities she took to heart and would one day embody in unimaginable ways. When Zhaojun reached marriageable age, she was selected to join the imperial court as a lady-in-waiting. The news brought pride to her family, but Zhaojun harbored a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Life in the palace was far from the idyllic world she had imagined. The court was filled with intrigue and deception, where women competed for the emperor's favor, each hoping to secure her future. She soon discovered that a court painter, responsible for capturing each woman's beauty on canvas to present to Emperor Yuan, accepted bribes to alter portraits, enhancing some faces while dulling others. Zhaojun, valuing her integrity, refused to pay the painter, and as a result, her portrait depicted her as plain and unremarkable. Thus, she remained unnoticed by the emperor, confined to an obscure part of the palace. During her years of obscurity, Zhaojun grew distant from the other women of the court, finding solace only in her music. Every night, she would play her pipa by the moonlight, her melodies conveying the sorrow of her solitude and longing for freedom. Her music, it was said, was so moving that even the palace walls seemed to breathe with it, as if the ancient stones understood her yearning. She became known among the palace attendants as the Silent Beauty. Her beauty was whispered about but never witnessed by the emperor himself. One evening, a decree arrived at the palace. The Xiongnu, a powerful northern tribe that had long posed a threat to the Han borders, had requested a royal bride. The Xiongnu ruler, Han and Xiongnu, sought peace with the Han through marriage diplomacy. The emperor, though reluctant, knew that granting this request might stabilize the region. Many women in the palace feared the life that awaited them in the rugged northern lands, and none volunteered for the role. But Zhaojun, feeling confined and yearning for a greater purpose, saw this as an opportunity. She offered herself to be the emperor's chosen bride, shocking the court with her unexpected bravery. The emperor, hearing of her decision, was surprised. When she was brought before him for the first time, he was awestruck by her beauty and presence. The emperor, now realizing the painter's deception, was furious. He regretted allowing such a remarkable woman to leave the court. But Zhaojun was resolute. She expressed her desire to travel to the northern lands to fulfill her duty, her gaze unwavering and proud. Struck by her determination, the emperor reluctantly honored her decision and sent her off with gifts and honors. The journey to the Xiongnu territory was grueling. Zhaojun traveled across harsh terrains, through towering mountains and vast grasslands, escorted by an imperial retinue. At night, when the others slept, she would sit beneath the stars and play her pipa. Her music, drifting into the emptiness of the steppes, was said to be so hauntingly beautiful that the wild animals gathered to listen, mesmerized by the sorrow and grace in her notes. With every strum of her strings, she poured out her longing for the familiar, her fear of the unknown, and her courage to face what lay ahead. Upon arriving at the Xiongnu camp, Zhaojun was greeted with curiosity and awe. The people had never seen a woman of such grace and beauty. Her husband, Han and Xiongnu, was immediately captivated, not only by her beauty but by her kindness and dignity. Zhaojun embraced the customs of the Xiongnu, learning their language and adopting their ways. Despite being far from home, she carried herself with poise, never showing weakness, earning the respect of the Xiongnu people. She became known as the Han Queen, a foreign woman who had crossed borders not just out of duty but out of a desire to bridge two worlds. In time, Zhaojun grew to care deeply for her husband and the people she now called her own. She advised Han and Xiongnu on matters of diplomacy, urging him to foster peace with the Han rather than pursue conflicts. Through her influence, the Xiongnu began to see the Han people not as distant enemies but as allies. Zhaojun's wisdom and insight helped cultivate a period of peace and mutual respect between the two cultures, allowing trade and cooperation to flourish. Yet, life in the north was not without its hardships. The land was rugged, the winters harsh, and the isolation profound. Zhaojun often longed for the gardens of Chang'an, the warmth of her family, and the familiar sense of home. There were days when the ache of homesickness weighed heavily on her, and in those quiet moments, she would climb to the highest hill, overlooking the endless steppes, and play her pipa. Her music, a mixture of hope and sorrow, echoed through the plains, as if calling out to the distant land she would never see again. In her later years, Zhaojun became not only a queen but a legend among the Xiongnu, a symbol of peace and understanding. She bore children who carried her grace and wisdom, bridging the Han and Xiongnu heritage in their veins. She raised them to honor both sides of their ancestry, to value peace over war, and to carry on the legacy of unity she had worked so hard to build. Her story spread across the land, and even the emperor in Chang'an would listen to tales of the Han queen who had sacrificed everything to bring peace to two nations. As she grew older, Zhaojun often found herself sitting alone beneath the stars, gazing southward toward the homeland she could no longer reach. In those final years, she became known among the Xiongnu as the Empress of the Steppes, a woman whose spirit was as boundless as the land itself. She continued to play her pipa, her music now softer, filled with a peaceful acceptance. Those who heard her play said her melodies held a timeless wisdom, a grace that transcended borders and spoke of a life lived in service to others. Upon her passing, the Xiongnu and Han mourned her together, their shared sorrow a testament to the peace she had nurtured. A monument was erected in her honor, facing south toward Chang'an, where the wind carried her memory back to her homeland. Wang Zhaojun's legacy endured as a symbol of courage, sacrifice, and the belief that true beauty lies not only in appearance but in the strength to build bridges where once there were walls. Hers was the spirit of unity, a reminder that one person, even in silence, can leave an everlasting mark on history.